Yes, it is true. The Black Ace Hockey. Jesus. Black Ace Hockey Podcast. If I can remember how to do this freaking intro, it's back in action. Right here, as always, with your co-host Nick Jenkins. What's going on, man?
We take a week off and you forget how to do everything.
Yeah,
Today's been a struggle.
What? I mean, it's called adulting for a reason. Your mind just kind of shuts off for 8 hours a day. Then when you want to turn it back on, you're not sure if it's going to turn on or not. So It's a highly debatable question if we should even work technically as humans.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be much of a work week for people because it's the Masters week. So everybody's going to be dialed in Thursday, Friday this week for the opening rounds of the Masters. So
yeah, I don't have TV, so I won't be watching. Especially
it's
definitely
free,
won't
masters.com.
Be watching, through any sort of streaming services online because that's certainly illegal, and I would never do that to our proud sponsors. But yeah, dude, I feel like we haven't been here for 9 years, maybe. So I guess the first week was all my fault, definitely on me. Took a little trip out to USA Hockey Nationals. Did some skating around for a bit, and that was fun. I pretty pumped about that. Glad USA Hockey gave me the thumbs up to go, and definitely met some fun people out there, and all levels of hockey. You know, they ref youth all the way up to even AHL stuff. So it's definitely fun to hear people's stories, experiences about that stuff, and get to network, grow the brand. I think that's how people say it, network. Is that what you do with those things?
Got it. Yep. Okay. See, you know what you're doing. You know all the lingo.
It's just out here being a fucking business salesman. That's just how I roll.
Any good stories from your time in California there?
Not that I can openly share, no. None whatsoever. I mean, it's high school hockey, so I mean,
yeah,
it is what it is. It was pretty fun to see, the best of the best in high school compete out there, and I think for the most part everybody had fun. I don't think anybody went out there looking for a bad time. It is in the Sunshine State of the West Coast, so I think all in all it was a pretty cool experience. But the second week was all on you, though.
Yeah, second week was my bad.
Yeah. This guy's Mr.
I claim no responsibility. You know what? I love nothing more than being on an airplane, apparently. So
yeah, I mean, apparently you must be best friends with the steward. They're like, Jenks, again? What are you doing? God.
I've been on an airplane a lot, and I've got 3 more trips planned in the next. I'm looking at the calendar. I'll be on a plane 3 more times in the next 6 weeks here. So
6 weeks?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, bud.
Yep.
Okay. Let me put a question out there for you. What is Jenk's top 3 plane hacks?
Oh, plane hacks.
Yeah.
That's a good question. First plane hack. Don't worry about standing up as soon as your boarding group is called.
Oh, that's the worst. You know what grinds my gears, Jenks?
Here we go. Let's do it.
Nothing freaking I just want to strangle people. Like buddy, you have to wait for everybody to go before you, unless you're that kind of a guy that just kind of takes an inch. You give an inch, they take a mile. They're sidestepping people. Brother, we're all they ain't leaving the second plane. The second plane ain't leaving until we're there. I promise you. They
everybody's getting on the same plane.
Yeah,
you've got your group. You don't rush up there. Don't stand right by the gate and say, "Did you call my group?" No, just wait your turn.
Hang out for a little bit. Everybody's cool. Sharing your journeys.
Second plane hack. If you don't have TSA pre-check and you plan to fly more than once a year, you need TSA pre-check because it saves you from. You don't have to get to the airport 2 hours early anymore. Newsflash, an hour is just fine. Plenty of time.
I mean,
Saves time to go to the airport bar, get a beer.
you
Plenty
like
of
to
time.
live life dangerously. That's how
I
an hour before Jenks, no chance,
yes,
zero
yep,
chance, nope.
yep.
How are you
Get
supposed to get your steps in? You can't get your steps in. Fucking getting there an
well.
hour before.
You don't have to worry about steps. Just get your elite status. They'll drive you right to the gate.
Okay.
Third airplane hack. Don't frickin' sit close to the bathrooms. That shit smells disgusting. Nobody wants to be near all that traffic. Nobody wants to smell that nasty airplane bathroom the whole flight. Find yourself a nice seat in the aisle near the middle of the plane. It's a perfect spot to be. If you're not a frequent flyer and turbulence bothers you, the safest place to be is over the wings. So sit near the middle of the plane. Avoid the bathrooms. Sit in the aisle. If you're not somebody who gets up in the middle of flights, window seat's better because then you don't have somebody crawling across you. All just depends on personal preference, but yeah,
Yeah, so
just find a seat in the middle of the plane. You're
you
good
gotta
to
get
go.
the aisle, establish presence, and fall asleep
That's
right away. You just
that's what I do.
close the
That's my power
eyes,
move.
and then people are too afraid to get up. They're like, "Oh man, that guy's sleeping, but I really got to shit." Like, no, you hold that thing. Like, what? It's only max 3 hours if you have a layover. Only criminals fly direct. Criminals
If
fly direct.
oh I if I can get a direct flight, that's what I'm doing every time.
Cross country direct, no chance. 6 hours
Oh
on a
yeah.
plane, just
Mm-hmm.
fucking nah. Give me
Go to
give me
Europe.
two
It's
hours, then a 3 hour one. That's it.
go to Europe. It's an 8 hour one shot flight.
Don't need to. What's over there? Nothing. Nothing. Crazy people. There's nothing over there for me. Promise.
Fair enough. Europe doesn't exist.
It doesn't. The only place that does exist is Russia, apparently, and they produced one of the hottest human beings on the face of the hockey world right now. All over, everywhere. I think this has to be our first topic. Ovi finally crossing the Mark Jenks,
Yep,
and
he did it.
to be honest with you, I don't I don't hate how the NHL went about the whole thing. I think
Mm-hmm.
that milestone for so many people in NHL history thought of as like untouchable, right? Like especially in today's game where
Mm-hmm.
goaltenders are getting better, the pace of play is moving faster. It's so hard to reach these records that some of the guys that played early on made. So I think Ovi hitting that and then they literally just pausing the game was
Yep.
sick.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, think about it. Go back like 5 years. The whole conversation was that nobody's touching that
Right.
record. That's an untouchable record. Ovi's aging. He's slowing down. There's no chance he's getting that record. And then, like, last season, it was starting to be a question of, well, how long is it going to take Ovi to get there? And then as he got hot this season, I know he got hurt this year too, but the pace that he was scoring goals this season, it was like, oh my God, he's going to get it this year.
Right.
And then the conversation all of a sudden was, well, which game is he finally going to break it? And now that we've got this, it's unbelievable. A record that many people thought would never be broken. I agree with you 100%. They should be celebrating this in the way that they did for that record to be topped. I mean, that's 895 goals. I think there's almost a guaranteed chance that he's going to be the only player in NHL history to hit 900 goals because he's only got to get 5 more now, right? So that's easy after you've scored that many in your freaking career. Holy crap. Yeah, I think the way it went down was great. I'm glad he chose not to score on the empty net because he had the chance the game before in Chicago.
Can't do it like that, man. Even he
And
literally told
yeah,
the sideline reporter, he's just like, dude, like
yep,
or ringside reporter, not sideline.
yep,
I didn't want to score on the anthem. That he literally didn't go out
yes,
for the whole time. He's just
yep,
like, I don't.
yeah. That's not
And
fun.
and
Nobody
also
wants
to
to celebrate
see
that.
who scored Leonard, uh, Leonard or whatever the Capitals
Yeah,
rookie
Ryan
is,
Leonard.
Leonard.
Yeah,
And to see Ovi being like out on the ice is just as pumped for him
yeah.
as like everybody else would be for that history setting goal. I think was a
Mhm.
pretty cool moment. And I don't know, Jenks. Would you want your first NHL goal to be on an empty net?
If I was ever in a position to score one
I would
NHL
bury it.
goal,
I'd freaking smash
I
it through the net.
don't care.
Yeah.
I I don't care how it goes in. You have an NHL goal. Doesn't matter. They don't ask how, they ask how many, and you've got one.
Yeah.
Put it in the net. Just bury it.
I think uh, a lot of people that never played a game, a sport, like all these people that like broadcasters, reporters that have like never played, and just like talking for clickbait and shit. Um, when they say like, I wouldn't want my first goal to be on an empty net, like, buddy, that kid's getting paid a gajillion $1,000,000. And that's what you live for as a kid, right? Like growing
Yeah.
up, like peewees, bantams, like all that shit. Like you think about your first celebration, like how you're gonna like twirl your stick and everything. It's
Yeah.
like just to get that moment realized, I think it's a pretty cool moment. Especially, I think a lot of people are gonna remember that too, considering it's
Mhm.
kind of in connection with Ovi. So,
Oh yeah.
what do you think of Ovi's
Absolutely.
celly? The little belly slide? We call that the penguin.
Dude, I thought he had been doing the same celly for like all season long. I thought everybody just thought he was going to do that, go to the knee and pump celly, and he goes to center ice and he slides. I don't care what he did to Selly. He deserves to do whatever Selly he wants. He scored more goals than anybody in NHL history. There are no rules when it comes to Ovi right now.
Yeah, I
It's
thought
going
it
to be the
was.
summer of Ovi all over
Yeah,
again.
it is. It is. He's even if they don't win the Stanley Cup, he's going to be drinking the most beers. So
I can't wait to see him in a fountain pounding beers again.
Yeah,
Round
it's
2.
going to be great. Oh my gosh! And once he scored, I don't know what D man was coming across. I think it may have been John Carlson. Came across and just sprayed his face full of snow while stopping to pump him up. I'm like, oh my god, give him some space, guys. I feel like I'm in
Yeah.
NHL 25. Like, back up. I
Yeah.
gotta do my stick swing, Sally. So
Yeah.
so overall, I think it was pretty cool. Probably the first time and only time the Islanders barn will be packed for a game. So that was cool to see too. And I think overall, man, that over the years, I've gone from hating Ovi with all of my
Yeah.
guts to then realizing we could have had Ovi and being very, very upset that we picked who did we pick? Malkin. No. Who did we pick?
Do you really want to know?
06? No, the year before, 05.
Yeah, it was 05. Do you remember who we picked?
Probably freaking like Bissonnette.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't really in our power because the Washington had number 1. We
Right.
took Malkin number 2.
Oh, did we take Malkin that same year?
We took Malkin number 2. Yeah.
Fuck. Do you think if roles reversed, we had Ovi, do you think Ovi's the star that he is now?
I don't see why not. I mean,
Crosby comes in the next year. You don't think he gets a little overshadowed by Crosby? Kind of like Malkin?
I think some of his. I mean, he's a completely different player than Malkin. I mean, he can drive his own line success. He's a goal scorer. I think you could say that, you know, him and Crosby would have not have played together if they would have had their own lines.
Sure, yeah.
And there's no, I think there's no debate that he would have the stats that he does now, but I think where probably his legacy would be affected a little bit would be, you know, him individually, because he wouldn't be the face of a team. He would be the shared face of the Penguins with Crosby. Whereas in Washington, he has been the guy for the last 20 years.
Right.
So
that's a good point.
You know, I think from a personal legacy standpoint, from an individual standpoint, yeah, maybe it takes a hit if he is on the Pens with Crosby, but I don't think there's any reason he couldn't put up these amount of points.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe even more if you put those two together on power play one. You got Crosby behind the back passing to Ovi. Holy crap.
Yeah, look out. So final question with that one. So
Yeah.
Ovi has one more year in the NHL
Mm-hmm.
next year, and he already said he's going to go back to Russia after that.
Yeah.
So what is your prediction? And I want a absolute number. Where
Okay.
does he end up, number wise, in goals?
Where does he end up number one? A final number. When he
Final
leaves
number.
the NHL, how many does he
I want to
have?
use all of your Nostradamus crystal ball powers that you can, Jinx. Put it out there in the ether. Throw it out there. What's the number?
Let's see. He's at 895 now. I think the Caps have like 5 games left this season. If I had to guess a number, I would say he ends up at like 930. We'll say 933 goals. I think is the number.
All right. Very reliant on divisible by 3 there.
Yeah. That's a total accident. I'm not huge numbers guy.
Huge. Okay. All right. Hey,
I think he's got a couple more left in him this year, and I think he probably scores between 30 and 35 in his final season, and then he sails off back to Russia.
Okay. All right. Catches the fucking Mayflower Express back. Got it. All right. So I think we covered. Do you have anything else that you wanted to bring up for that? I don't know. I think we've covered most of it.
No, I think we covered it all. It's an amazing record that, now we say this, but who knows? May not ever be beaten again, especially if he does get over 900. That's crazy. I think as a Penguins fan, he's definitely somebody that I looked on early in his career and was like, I don't like this guy. But
Right.
He's really grown on me over his career. He's clearly a good leader. He's been, the franchise for the Capitals for the last 20 years, and I think the guy is hilarious. I love all the different clips of him that are coming out. So congrats to Ovi on a great record and a fantastic career.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to watch. I think the second biggest news coming out of I'd say NHL world, definitely John Tortorella being canned yet again from another team for, quite honestly, the most John Tortorella thing that could ever exist ever.
Right.
And if those of you who don't follow the drama of John, basically didn't play one of Philly's youngest stars in Cam York. Just didn't want to see him out there on the ice. Absolutely. He probably did a toe drag in practice, and John Tortorella was like, we don't do that here. We just stick to the basics. And basically told him if he re-signed here, he's going to bury him. So instead of burying him, they buried John. I don't know if anybody's shocked at all by this. I think it was bound to happen regardless.
John Tortorella clearly not up with the kids these days.
The new Mike Babcock, some would say.
The new Mike Babcock, except he's never beaten players that we know of.
Or made people show them their wives.
Yeah, that's whole different level there.
He did. That's what
I know. That's the bad part, right?
Yeah, I know.
Obviously, Torts has been around for so long. Like, he's had a lot of success in his coaching career. I just think he's shown that he's not able to adapt his coaching style to the next generation that's coming in. And I think that's probably going to be his downfall. I don't know if he gets another opportunity after this, unless it's with a heavily veteran team. But clearly, he doesn't care for the skill and the flash that a lot of these young, talented players are bringing in these days, and he's trying to develop a hard-hitting, hard-nosed hockey system like what's been played for the last 20, 25 years, and it's just not the way it's done anymore. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It's gonna be hard to find a spot for him.
I think with John, he needs a team that's built already.
Yeah,
Kind of like falling in line with what you were saying.
yeah,
He needs a team that's built in a slump that needs like a voice to say, "Hey, I'm here to like literally beat some ass. I'm
yeah.
literally here to like whip everybody into shape. I don't care who you are."
Hmm.
And kind of falls in line with like some of the things that the Blues are doing. Like
Yeah,
if they brought a coach in, I don't think they made a coaching change this season, but if they brought a coach in like John before this 12-game win streak, maybe they would have said like, "Hey, yeah, well, that was all on John. It was Blues just needed a coaching change, stronger voice in the locker room
yeah,
to get the boys going." And something like that maybe would excite, I think, some teams. But I, I, I think you hit it on the head. John, he's a different breed. You either like him or you freaking hate him, and
yeah,
you freaking hate him, not just hate. Um, so it's. I think he's gonna land his job back in ESPN or wherever he was broadcasting. Just go back there, hang out, John. Christ
yeah,
Almighty, don't do this back and forth shit. It's so
yeah,
annoying. Um,
yeah.
but talking about the Blues, man, are we seeing a repeat of what they do? Is this the new Blues? Where they just win at the end of the season or something?
Man, I think you said this a couple of pods ago, but this is like shades of the cup run they went on where they just played, get it done hockey. They had this resurgence in the second half of the season to make a push for the playoffs. They're going to get in as like the first or second wild card, and boom, all of a sudden we're going to find them in the Stanley Cup Finals, and nobody's going to have a good time watching it because it's like Islanders hockey.
Nobody's gonna have a good time.
I don't know what's going on with the Blues. I they just seem to be. I don't know if it's a chemistry thing or they just have the right mix of skill and grit. I don't know what really is going on. I don't watch much Blues hockey because clearly I don't think it's entertaining hockey.
Right.
But they're making it happen, and it awfully looks like they're going to make the playoffs here. I don't know. I don't know what to say about them. It's puzzling.
I don't like it at all. I think it's bad for the game. I think I think it's the same thing that the Islanders did to change the game with the two goalie setup.
Hmm.
Um, that was very very effective. Now every team is just looking for that sort of like play your starter and play your backup for literally half the season each.
Yeah.
I know the Pens love doing this sort of like after the All-Star break. Crosby's like, "Hey, I forgot to bring my shoulder pads for half the season. Now I'll start to try."
Right.
I I don't know. I don't know. I don't like it because you burn out. You can't sustain that level of dominancy
Yeah.
throughout the edge of the season. Now, if you were that good throughout, I think that's a more obtainable goal to keep moving forward because you can kind of tone it down towards like the end part of the year. That way you can gear up everybody.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I don't. Parenko? Are we serious? That's who we're going with right now. Parenko.
That's the guy.
Chikrin signing
That
8 by 95 million. What's what?
I
Who we signing, Jenks?
I, I don't even know. I have no
What are we
idea.
doing? That's another one. I bet it's gonna be Jeff Skinner 3.0 with that shit. So stupid. But um, another newsworthy hit piece, Jenks, and coming
Mhm.
from a coach. You see your player engage in a fight out there, and almost looks like the guy wanted to WWE slew foot him, toss him down. I forget who it was. Canes and Caps. Of course, this was highlighted because they were playing the Caps, but basically takes him down on the
Yeah.
ice.
Yeah.
Pretty dangerous move, if I'd say so myself. Give me your reaction.
So you want my reaction as the player who was the victim or the player who was the offender?
I want raw Jenks reaction.
I mean, I just think the whole okay, so the whole general situation, I don't care what side I'm on. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's good for the game. It looked awful dirty. I I understand why people are reacting the way they did
Yep.
to the situation. Um, I wonder if it almost looks worse when because the
Slow
what a lot of
mo,
the
8K
media, yeah,
replay,
a lot of the
pixel
media
pixel.
likes to, yeah, slow mo, and then you're like, oh, that looks way worse. I mean, you got to remember how fast everything moves in real time. So maybe
Right.
it does look a little bit worse in slow mo, and maybe there was an intent there. You could argue it either way, but I think regardless, you got to be under control of your body. You got to know what you're doing, and you don't want to put people in dangerous situations that could lead to injury there.
I I agree. I think the one thing that stuck with me is they interviewed the Canes coach, Brenda Moore, and he was like, nobody had an issue with it. Like the whole workup, drama wise, it was out there. It was all you
Mm-hmm.
guys, which which tells me, and you have to read in between the lines of these coaches. Remember, they're trained for their PR skills. That's all they do is talk to the freaking
Yep.
media.
Yep.
Which means is he backlogged it. He checked it. He got it. Now, if they meet in the playoffs, which most likely they
Oh yeah.
will, that man is going to meet Tom Wilson and he's going to get 5 fists straight to his face and a broken nose. So it's just like some of those things where when you're in the NHL, if you do some scumbag shit, you're gonna get got. And
Yep.
these guys don't play around. They're just like, all right, you wanna be that way? We got
Yep.
big Matt Rempe 3.0 over here that we
Yep.
can just unleash on you. Like we can literally just say, hey, get your job done. Go get paid.
Yep.
And he gets paid. So I think in that sense, I'm fine with it because at that level, the game polices game. Like if you ever like we went to the Anaheim Ducks game when we were out there, and when you watch, if you like watch the refs, they don't really do anything. They're just kind of there existing. They point at people for goals and assists. The
Yeah.
linesmen just kind of like make their curls. But like if you're being an evil man out there, you're gonna get a fist. It's just how it is.
Yep.
So you can't be going around on checks and balances, checks, right? The whole
Yep.
checks and balances, maybe add a few tariffs on top. I don't know, like one of the two. That's just how the system works.
Yep. That's how it works. You got to self-police the game and do stupid shit. Expect something to happen.
Win stupid prizes. That's right.
That's it.
All right, all right. Let's talk about how our Pittsburgh Penguins have been eliminated yet again
Yeah.
from playoffs. But why haven't we turned off Crosby? Like, hey, Cros, my guy, I know you are, but just freaking help us help you. Just don't win anymore. Just stop winning. Stop coming back on Dallas. What are we doing?
Yep. Yep. Here's the problem. Crosby is such a competitor that he does not even care that we're out of the
It hurts
playoffs
my
at this point.
soul.
But at this point, it's like, honestly, let's just go in with an AHL squad.
Right.
We'll lose every game remaining. We'll get a better pick, and then we'll be better positioned moving forward. I mean, the season is lost. We are out of playoffs. It's official. It's done. It doesn't matter if we finish the first team out of playoffs or last place in the NHL. So we might as well just go for the best pick we possibly can and then start preparing for next season.
Like we
But
brought up
Sid doesn't have an
Morty
off switch.
and
Yep.
he scored. Like why? We didn't predict that. He didn't score in his first 7 games. Why
Yep.
is he scoring in his last one?
Yep.
We brought up that the new kid, the other kid, the other small kid,
Other small kid. We brought up a bunch of kids.
Ventarian. I don't know,
I know.
but it was his first game too.
We brought up Koivunen.
Koivunen, that's who it was.
Yeah.
It was
Okay, I was like, I don't know where you're going with Vanitarian.
One of those Swedish people. I just freaking names start with K's and V's. Who's that kid? Mo, is that his name? Mo Omana.
Boko Imama.
Is that it? Is that it?
He's another one that we've been
and he
up
scored
and down. Yeah.
like in the last 5 games.
Yes. Yep.
I don't.
It's just not. Hey, we just don't know when to turn it off, and right now is when we need to turn it off and go for a top 4 pick, because there's only about 4 players at the top of the draft this year, and we're gonna end up with like the 12th pick, and we're gonna miss out on a good player. That's what's gonna end up happening.
It hurts my brain. It makes no sense to me.
But 100%.
Whatever floats your boat, I guess. Let's move on to the playoff pushes, Jenks. Kind of what every team is aiming for. I think most of everything is pretty solidified for at least one of the wild card spots in each division.
Yep.
That being Ottawa and the St. Louis Blues. Unfortunately.
Yep.
So, give me your predictions on if Montreal absolutely crashes and burns, or if they stay there in the final wildcard spot.
They are up 6 points on the next closest team.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody below them is really on a hot streak right now. I mean, Detroit in their last 10 is 5-4-1, 500. The Rangers have a losing record in their last 10. The Islanders are another point behind, but they're 500 in their last 10. I think Montreal would literally have to lose their last 5 games, and one of Detroit or the Rangers would have to get really hot, and I just don't see that happening. I think at this point, the playoff picture's pretty secure in the East, and I think it's going to be Ottawa and Montreal in those wild card 1 and 2 spots.
I mean, this has got to be the first time in 20 years that there's been 3 Canadian teams in the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Red Wings can even hang. If they could hang, they would be hanging. But we would have to see an absolute implosion by Montreal.
Yeah.
And the way they're playing with Suzuki, Caulfield, I just, in freaking Hudson, that guy's a lunatic. I don't know if they can actually lose that many games in a row. Now, with that being said, I would be absolutely mortified to play Washington first round. So maybe it's a business decision, Jenks. Be like, hey, we'll lose the last 5 games. Red Wings, all you got to do is win the last 5 games.
Yep.
Would you shake on that deal?
Seems easy, right?
It does.
I don't buy that deal. That's some sketchy shit. Okay. I don't buy that deal. I think if you're Montreal, you've got to get into the playoffs this year. I mean, they've got to turn a corner at some point here. And I think now is the time. They've got some young guys that are really stepping up, and it's time for them to really take control of the team. Suzuki, I think the stat was Suzuki is the first player in like 20 years almost since Alex Kovalev to have a point per game.
And they made the Stanley Cup Finals.
They made the Stanley Cup Finals, yeah.
Yeah. COVID year.
A
Sick
full
year.
defensive team, Carey Price and Shea Weber, that just keep the puck out of the net. That's the name of the game.
Yes, with Scory Perry, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I think for the Montreal market and for all the fans and stuff, it's just time for them to get a playoff series in here. It's first one since COVID.
Are you calling Canadian Stanley Cup, James? Is that what I heard in your voice?
No, they're not going to the Cup. They're just going to get a
Mm.
round in. They're going to get a round in.
All right. I mean, you
All
said it, not
it's
me.
it is a law. All Canadian teams lose in the first round. It's like written in stone.
Okay.
That includes the Leafs.
All right. Flopping over to the Western Conference, we have the St. Louis Blues in the first wild card spot, followed by Fleury's magical run.
Yep.
Now, can Dustin Wolf, the rookie, end Minnesota's magical season?
It's going to be tough. I think. I mean, we talked about Dustin Wolf the last time we recorded. He is just on another level, and certainly in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. I think Minnesota is a team that is vulnerable.
Yeah.
They're expecting to get Kaprizov back any day now, and he's the guy that makes that team go. It's really hard to say that Dustin Wolf can single-handedly will this team into the playoffs. They've got to find a way to score goals. I think they're one of the lowest scoring teams in the NHL. Yeah. I don't have the exact stat in front of me, but they've got to be one of the lowest scoring teams. So they've got to find a way to score goals, and they've got to do it quick because they've only got 5 games left, and they're 4 points back of Minnesota. So my gut just tells me I don't think Calgary's catching them.
Every time I look at Calgary's roster, I'm just like, what? Who?
Yeah.
Like, am I this out of touch where I don't know anybody on their? Well, Kadri and these freaking Huberdeau, Joel Farabee, but like,
yeah,
we're relying on Blake Coleman. Is that who we're going to? Is our upfront guy?
Right.
I don't know. Maybe some of these guys can really turn it on, but I just don't see where they're getting their scoring from. And you make a good point. Minnesota getting Kaprizov back. I mean, Fleury knows a thing or two about long-term IR. So maybe I think he just was like, hey, guys, maybe shut him down for a bit, get into playoffs and activate him, bring in some young studs, and here we go. Maybe right. Sign a couple college kids while you're at it, bring them in. Matthew Nye's action, so but it will be interesting if the Canadians hold their second wildcard spot. That'd be 5 Canadian teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I'm not going to say it, but the Jets definitely have a great shot at it. I don't know if it's Edmonton's year. I think they've used all their energy last year. That was it. That was their big hurrah moment, and I think they're still kind of reeling from that kind of side effect. So, but I will mention, I saw a Quentin Byfield goal last night. That was absolutely freaking impossible. Literally, it felt like a glitch goal on NHL. That's how stupid it was. It's just like one of those like, how did he shoot it through my chest goals sort of things.
Yep.
Or why didn't the goalie get over fast enough? He was already down. So, seen this clip, dude. He reaches around the guy with his stick to tip it to himself to the right.
Yeah.
And then scores one-handed. I mean, that's just next level. There's no way that's run in practice. I'm sorry. There's not a chance.
No, not one. If you watch the end of the clip, it's kind of funny. He ends up with two sticks in his hands because he's got Shane Wright's stick like tied up in him, and he's trying to get it off of him. Um, but man, for him to have that body control, he's a big guy
It's a
too,
huge guy.
and for him to have that body control and be aware of, where his stick's at, hand-eye coordination, knock the puck out of the air, and then spin around to get one hand on it to
Stupid.
tap it into the net. That's a goal of the year candidate, 100%.
Like
Just unbelievable.
I don't know if like the common person watching that would understand how crazy that is.
Right.
Like imagine somebody holding your waist, literally holding your pocket. And then you're just like, excuse me, excuse me. Like, no. Like on an NHL goaltender too. Like
Yeah,
that goalie was lost in the corner. He was looking to pick up his jock strap somewhere. But I saw that this morning. I'm like, that was stupid. Like that's just not right.
unbelievable.
I think whatever they did for that man to develop him, what was it, like a year or two in the A, and then brought him up. He's just been electric. Like,
Mhm.
where's that development in Pittsburgh? Where are we in that development department?
I wish I knew we
God,
could use
it's
something like
so
that, right?
stupid how teams like get this freaking development right, but like we just struggle. I don't
Yeah,
understand. Um,
yeah.
but that's all I have for freaking our playoff pushes for 2025. Um, hopefully next week we'll see how things have rounded out. Um, but going into probably the hottest topic of the week, college hockey Frozen Four has been decided in quite arguably the craziest fashion. Don't know if everybody had any of these teams going, maybe. Um,
Probably not.
but I, Jenks, I'll let you take it away here.
So we got through the round of 16 in the Elite Eight for college hockey, and I am very happy to say that the Penn State Nittany Lions have advanced to their first Frozen Four in program history, which is really exciting. But they've got their work cut out for them. So the final four teams remaining are Western Michigan, Denver, BU, and Penn State. So it'll be Denver and Western Michigan in the first semifinal, and Penn State BU in the second final or semifinal. And then the winners obviously will meet for the national championship coming up this weekend. So I think, Denver's got a lot of NHL talent. You probably could have made a case for them to be here. BU is always good. I think Western Michigan might be a little bit of a surprise just because they had to go through a number of good teams to get here. But Penn State is like the ultimate surprise.
Yeah.
Like they had a ridiculous finish to the regular season, competed well in the conference tournament, ended up losing to Ohio State in overtime. Fair came into the NCAA tournament with potentially the scariest matchup, having to face Maine in round one.
Yeah.
And I watched a good portion of that game. They dominated one of the best teams in college hockey. I mean, Penn State was all over the puck all night long. Just a fantastic game, and it's like, oh my God, they could actually do this.
Right.
Like if they play this way every game, they can actually do this. Of course, they've got a scary matchup in BU coming up, and then assuming if they were to win, my assumption is that Denver and BU is probably the most likely final here. So even if they get through BU, they've got another heck of a matchup in Denver, the defending national champions, and a lot of NHL pedigree talent on that team. So it's really anybody's game at this point. I think they're going to be great matchups. Really excited to watch this one. The semifinals are Thursday. Both the semifinals are Thursday, April 10th, and then the national championship will be on Saturday, April 12th.
I did you see that one clip of I think it was Nodak versus Minnesota Duluth?
I don't think I saw that one.
the kid was coming down in OT and cut across the middle, was flying and got his like shin tapped by a stick. Like absolutely goes down. Puck goes the other way. Game over in the net. I think for
No,
Minnesota Duluth.
I missed that one.
Yeah,
Jeez.
it was the talk of the town, dude. Oh my gosh. Was it a trip? Was it not a trip? The camera like zooms in on all the refs like for the last like 5 minutes of the game. It was crazy. But I mean, I think for if like you want to go see the clip real quick, the way he was coming across, he was already kind of angled pretty hard, and the stick just would kind of just like a regular stick check, like to the shin, and didn't really affect him at all. But he just like caught an edge or like kind of just lost balance, and I don't think you
Yeah.
can blame that guy for tapping a shin
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because like he kind of lost control of himself. But it looked awful. It just looked so bad. Where like
Yeah.
if you called a penalty there, I don't think anybody would have argued with it, but I think a no call was the right call. But it just so happens every time those sort of situations come up, it just goes down the other end and they end up scoring.
Yeah.
So
I think as a ref in that situation, I'll defer to you, but as a ref in that situation, you really don't want to affect the outcome of the game. So I think
right.
you probably just err on the side of letting it go. You're like, I'm not going to call a penalty and then have the winner be scored on the power play on a call that I could have gone either way. So you probably just say, I'm going to keep my hand down, right?
Yeah, like I always say, like everybody will know if it's a penalty. Like
Yeah.
slash a throat. Yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Cup checks, like blatant cross checking. Like that's how I like go about it. Like everybody will know. Like I don't want something of that magnitude, especially like
Yep.
when you think like all these guys have been playing forever. Juniors,
Yep.
like most of those guys are seniors, juniors, sophomores, so they're like pretty strong on their feet. So like something
Yep.
as simple as like a shin tap, like or a missed stick check.
Yeah.
I mean, buddy, like be stronger on your feet. Like what do you want me to do?
Yep.
But then again, I definitely could see a trip there. I'm not going to play devil advocate because every ref's different. I know everybody says they try not to be, but everybody has different things that they look for in every game.
Yep.
You try to take in a semifinal, a final game. Like I'm trying not to put myself in the game. So you got to step back and just call what you see. Just call the game. That's it. That's all coaches really ask for. Just call the game. So
Yep.
But yeah, that's how I saw it. But that was like the highlight of that weekend for us out there. But anything else you want to touch on? I was kind of sad to see Fink not make it the Hobie finalists.
Yeah, I think you could probably make a case that he deserved to be in the finalists. I think the other guys just generate more hype. They're just bigger names, the finalists, and they've been in the league a couple
the
years longer.
NCAA is rigged. Is that what you're
saying? I'm 100% saying this is all rigged. Whoever wins this, it's all rigged.
Okay. I think Isaiah Howard's probably going to win it. I think with the storyline of him,
yeah,
I think he's going to get it. Especially like coming off a kind of mediocre season last year. I think he'll ride it out. All right, Jenks, moving on to our favorite segment of the podcast, Writing on the Wall pick. Saturday, April 12th, full slate of games. Give us your Writing on the Wall.
Is this the final Saturday of the season? I think it is.
I think it is.
This is.
Wow, finally.
The last weekend of the season, man. And then we're going to be talking playoff hockey. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for that. All right, so we got Saturday, April 12th. We're going to wrap up the season, the regular season anyways, with our Writing on the Wall picks. And Now there's a couple of games on here with big playoff implications on the line, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily mean um, in terms of who's getting in the playoffs, but I think something to keep an eye on too is how all of the seedings are going to end up. Who's going to end up 1 through 3 in each conference? Because that's going to make a big difference in who you get paired up with. I mean, we've been talking about how much of a nightmare scenario it would be for some of these teams to, say you finish first in your division and you end up getting a hot Rangers team that squeaks into the playoffs, and you're like, oh great, our reward is we've got to play against just Stark in round one. Like,
Right.
so I think seeding is important, and I think one team that could use a bump right now is probably Carolina. And if you take a look at that matchup, they're playing the Rangers, who are fighting for that playoff spot still. So Carolina's got to solidify their seeding. The Rangers are pushing for the playoffs. This game means a lot. It's an afternoon game in Carolina. I can't get behind the way the Rangers are playing right now. I mean, we touched on this earlier. I just don't see them as making the playoffs. They've got a long ladder to climb. They've got to get over the Canadians. I just don't see it as being realistic. I know Carolina's had their ups and downs lately, and the whole Rantanen thing went down, and it's like, do you really believe this is the team that can get it done? But I think they're gonna figure it out here and straighten it out and get it done. I think they knock off the Rangers pretty easily, and then that sort of punches the ticket for the Rangers to not make the playoffs. That's sort of the final push for them. So I'm taking the Hurricanes over the Rangers as the final pick for the writing on the wall in the regular season.
All right, that's a good pick. I'm also going another playoff implication spot, one that might be a little overlooked here. Minnesota versus Vancouver. Um, this is an important game for Vancouver. They lose, they're out. Now,
Yep.
if Minnesota loses, that decreases the amount, of room they have built up in that Western Conference wildcard spot. And if Calgary wins, now it's a one game thing. Now we're just down to one game. So I think if Minnesota pulls this out, it will effectively eliminate the Canucks. I think they're going to want to wake up for that. Canucks are going to want to wake up for that. So that might be an actual good game to watch. I just don't know if the Canucks can rely on two players this whole season. Brock Besser and Quinn Hughes basically run this team. Thatcher Demko not having a great season, had to turn to Lankinen, whatever you want to say. I don't know if that's enough to support a playoff run, especially this late in the season. I'm going to have to go with Minnesota here. I think them off the back of Boldy pretty much the whole season is going to carry them through here. They have split the season series 1-1, but it's been tight both times. Empty net goal in the second time. So I think it's going to be a good game. I bet you this ends up being another 3-2, maybe 4-2 if Vancouver pulls your goalie.
Yeah.
So you can book Minnesota Wild responsibly, of course, as your degenerate advisors. We're always here. Anything else for the people, Jenks?
Well, we've made it through another regular season pretty much here. What an interesting season it's been. I mean, I remember at the beginning of the season thinking how weird things were, and I don't think we ever got back to a sense of normalcy from a hockey standpoint in the NHL. It just feels like it's been a really weird season.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think when things are going to work out, we see the JT Miller is basically holding Elias Pettersson underneath the water tap and making him drown himself. So they said, "See you later," and Elias Pettersson hasn't scored a goal since.
Yeah.
I think the Rangers were unstoppable, and now they're not.
Yep. Nashville went out and made all those big signings and are finishing like third to last in the NHL. Like what is going on?
Yeah,
it's been super weird, but it's made for some interesting stories this year.
But I knew the Penguins were gonna suck. Once we signed Dan Heinen, I knew it was freaking over. I knew it was over.
That's it.
I was scratch that. Once we re-signed Lars Eller, I knew it was gonna be over. I'm sorry, that man is the worst hockey player on the face of the earth. Absolutely awful. And every time I go to a game, he scores, and he's still awful. That's how bad he is.
They had to have signed him being like, we are trading him at the deadline. Like we're just paying for draft picks at this point.
I freaking hate it, but it is what it is. I would agree with that statement.
Make sure to follow us, guys, on Spotify, YouTube, and Instagram,
Black Aces Hockey Podcast. And as always, I'm your co-host, Wayne Abs. I'm right here as always with your co-host, Nick Jenkins. Adios.